So a fascinating new study here in which we're seeing experiments across the country. How do we get more people to get vaccinated? Well, let's put this up there on the screen. Erie, Pennsylvania says that a free beer has resulted in more vaccinations than all of their first dose clinics last week. This comes as a whole host of different localities and states are trying to figure out, what do? We are for the very first time reaching the critical threshold where supply actually outstrips demand. You're seeing a lot of states and localities actually cutting their orders because demand is simply not keeping up with where it is. And obviously, the higher percentage of the population that we get, the closer that you get to wherever herd immunity is, nobody really knows. Some people are trying to revise it. I don't know. But I would generally say that the more people, the better. And that has led to a lot of interesting experiments. We talked about West Virginia Governor Jim Justice paying $100 of saving bonds to people who get vaccinated. And the New York Times out with a new analysis and polling. Let's put this up there. Well, guess what? A full 1/3 of people who are vaccine hesitant said that some sort of payment would actually increase their likelihood of getting the vaccine. So I think we have just stumbled upon one of the easiest ways in order to incur public health. Obviously, $100 is nothing compared to the societal cost of the benefit of a largely vaccinated population. So let's see if the GOP will jump on board this train. I am all for it, and I would love to see something like this come from the White House.
Absolutely. It would be money well spent. Yeah. The research shows it can be effective. This particular program, I just have to also give them props for a very clever name. They called it Shot in the Chaser. And on the very first day, they had a line out the door of people who, they weren't necessarily hesitant. They just kind of hadn't gotten around to it. And this was like the last little bump to be like, okay, sure, let me go and get this done. Sounds like fun. A little bit of inducement. Never heard anything. So you have a certain part of the population. Polling shows it's like somewhere between 15 and 20% that are pretty adamant against the vaccine. Mm-hmm. You've got another maybe 15 or 20% that are maybe in this boat where it's like, I probably get around to it. They're not adamant against it. They want to kind of wait and see what happens, where these types of inducements can kind of get them over the hump and into the door. That's a huge segment of the population, really highly significant in terms of getting us to those numbers of herd immunity. Like you said, I mean, bottom line is the more people get the shot, the better it's going to be. The other thing that they found that works, so the cash inducements seem to work better for people who are more Democratic leaning. Mm-hmm. The thing that works better for people who are more Republican leaning is telling them you're not going to have to wear a mask anymore. You're going to be able to get back to normal. Like, you're going to be able to return to a full life. So that messaging and that encouragement on the other side of it would also be important. But this is good to see that people are experimenting. It seems to be working.
The two things that we could do to dramatically, and again, you may think 15% doesn't sound like a lot. That's tens of millions of people, tens of millions. And so what that means to me is that, number one, public health campaign around life isn't going to change has probably been one of the most dramatic failures of public health messaging in modern history around actual vaccination campaign. And number two is, if we have to pay people, so be it. Like I said, the societal benefit to all of this, how much did the vaccine cost the U.S. government? A couple billion? I mean, we've probably incurred trillions of dollars in the amount of societal benefit that's going to come from this just in 1 year GDP alone. Who knows in the long run?
Yeah.
Same thing whenever we think about it from a mere $100 payment. And I think that is really where public policy needs to head. But people just won't let up. I saw Fauci out there saying today that maybe mask wearing is going to be seasonal. I'm like, do you want people to not get vaccinated? And if you want to wear a mask during spring, go for it. But for the rest of us, like, if you get the vaccine, that's it. Life is back to normal.
I saw people freaking out about Andrew Yang in a picture outside, maskless. I mean, again, like, the CDC's been very cautious in all of this, and even they're saying you don't have to wear a mask outside if you're vaccinated. So that type of
crazy town.
It is not helpful, let's just say.
Yeah, there we go.
More Rising for you after this.